What's up YouTube, Mystayre here. I do want to start off this video with a massive apology. I do apologise, there's been no videos for the past 2 weeks prior to the Monday video. The reason behind that is my health took a dip. I had to focus on that first, get myself cleared and try and get back to normal is the honest response. But we are there now, and we are going to be on a slower schedule whilst I fully get back to normal, but for now I apologise, and let's get on to the actual topic of today's video. And this is the long-awaited BRO standard discussion. So obviously we did the premium and V premium as those came out, and we're now on to standard. And for those that did miss the other ones, we are going to be running through and actually getting covering what topped, what didn't, how well it went, and just overall opinions. Once again, I do want to say a massive thanks to Fuzzy Paradox and to Visus for both of them for helping. Fuzzy for helping me with the graphics, and Visus for actually making the spreadsheet that I use to track all the information. Obviously, their information will appear on the screen beside me, which you'll have already seen, but I do want to thank both of them very much. So we are going to start off with the AO region. Now, AO top 8 was what was nearly what was expected, in the fact that we've had 3 Gravidias, 1 Kyrie, 1 Nirvana, 1 Prison, 1 Bruce, which is the expected stuff, but we then had 1 Zorga sneak in, which is the Grave equals Zorga. So Gravidia being the top deck was very much expected going into this, because it is a very explosive deck. Honestly, I believe at this point it is on our watch list, but we don't know because they don't say anything about the English watch list. Obviously, Kyrie expected, Nirvana expected, Seraph expected. Bruce did fall off a bit, but he's still a very consistent deck, so being here does make sense as well. But then we've got Zorga, which obviously this is not long after Festival Collection dropped, so obviously this is the first event that Zorga's actually been legal for. And having him get a top on his first event is a really good showing. Overall, the deck is actually very solid. I've spoken with the gentleman on Twitter, and his list was actually very interesting. Explained all his reasonings and can see why he topped. But we then move into the top 4, and we see that AO region was won by Kyrie. Second place was Nirvana. Third place was Gravidia. And fourth place was Bruce. So what we can see from here is the transgression from top 8s into the top 4s, that we lost 2 Gravidias out of it, which is very interesting to note. We also did lose the Seraph Snow and the Zorga, but these 4 are very solid decks. Kyrie winning throughout. It was the Friends package version, not the non-Friends version. But it was, from what I heard, because obviously I was asleep for this, it was a very good close game between Art and Suo for the finals. It could have gone either way. Suo said he'd made a misplay, but we don't know how much that would have affected now, wouldn't it affected? We are now moving on to the AO region. There are 9 tops to mention here, because 1 did top, but then passed down his place in the top 8 due to wanting to go to a shop qualifier on the Sunday, because obviously BCS is taking a lot of people's preferences over BRO. So our finalised standings was 2 Prison, 2 Bavsagara, 1 Thegria, 1 Greedon, 1 Bruce, and 1 Flagberg. The original top cut before this, however, was taking out the Greedon and putting in a second Thegria. So that was a very interesting top cut to see. Thegria wasn't expected, Greedon wasn't expected. So really interesting to see. Bavsagara being at 2 copies was a little bit under the radar, but she was expected to actually be there overall. Moving on into top 4. We then have in first place Greedon, second place Bruce, third place Seraph Snow, and fourth place Flagberg. So EU stream did end up following the Greedon the entire way, amusingly. So we did see that it was first it is a very trigger-reliant deck, and getting the triggers when he needed them on the restanding Vanguard does apply a lot of pressure in the low shield format of Overdress. Even to the point of Manlong didn't even get to grade 4 Bruce versus the Greedon. That's how quick that went. Then obviously Prison in third, very much expected. It's still a very solid deck. It just doesn't do well when you look at the fact you've got Bruce that doesn't care about soul, and you've got Greedon which just generates so much soul as it is. So being below both the Dark State decks does make a lot of sense. Moving on to NA, we do have 3 Gravidias, 2 Kyrie, 1 Bruce, 1 Bastion, and 1 Tamayura. So again, 6 of the 8 are expected. Well, I'll say 6. Bruce, like what I said with AO, did fall off a bit. Same with Bastion, because this is post restriction for Darkstrain Dragon. And the surprise factor this time goes to Tamayura. So obviously Tamayura did get a nice bit of showing on the JP side once it dropped in set 5. But obviously with only London for BSF actually having set 5 legal, didn't get much of a showing there, so not really much to say about. But obviously now we've gotten to BRO and it's shown to be topping. It does show that it can actually keep up with the meta, which is really nice. But moving on to the top 4 post that, you'll then see what was expected in first place Gravidia, second place Gravidia, third place Bruce, and fourth place Kyrie. So obviously we did end up with a Gravidia mirror for the finals. Obviously not the most interesting to me per se, because it's literally swing hard, swing fast for both sides. But it was the finals and people did enjoy it, so good on them. Bruce being third, beating out the Kyrie, also makes sense because you've got a lot of early pressure, which if you rush down Kyrie, you do not have the hand to keep up so much. So does make a lot of sense. Whereas Bruce can actually defend well because obviously you're not committing much to the board. So being able to control tempo control Kyrie out does make it work really nicely. But then when we move on from that, we're going to look at the overall tops from all the regions. And we have got 6 Gravidias, 3 Bruce, 3 Seraph Snow, 3 Kyrie, 2 Bavsagra, 2 Thegria, 1 Nirvana, 1 Tamayura, 1 Greedon, 1 Bastion, 1 Zorga, and 1 Flagberg. I have technically included both the Thegria and the Greedon here, because technically they both did top. But obviously you can substitute it either way, one way or the other, based on what you feel. But what we can tell from this is Gravidia is very much ahead of our meta, with getting 6 top 8s, condensing down into 3 top 4s. Shows that it does have a very strong presence in the meta. Taking it one step further, when we got three Bruces and they all went into the top 4s, it does show that Bruce maybe needs to be put on our watch list at this point. But for that, we'll have to wait and see. All in all, very interesting BRO. If they do deal with Gravidia, I feel that this could open up the meta a bit further. But for that, we'll have to wait and see, because we've got our ban list coming. Well, JP have got their ban list announcement 2 weeks' time on the product stream. And obviously, we might get our ban list just after them. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know, because obviously we only had our official ban list for the last quarter a month and a half ago, so it might not be enough yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to be it for this video. If you haven't done so already, please do like, comment, subscribe. It very much does help the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye!